Hey everybody, welcome to LonsTV. You may notice my hair looks particularly ludicrous and insane today. Here's what happened. I have been up all night. It was like 3 a.m. and I was trying to sleep and I couldn't sleep and I was just like, screw it. So I've been up all night. I was writing this year in YouTube, and I laid down for a little bit, but this is what my hair does in the morning before I shower and do something with it. I've never seen, maybe everybody who's like me and has hair that looks like this in the morning hides it from the world, because I've never seen anybody's hair do this. What is this? What am I supposed to do with this? I look like a completely crazy person. I had no idea it even looked like this until I turned on the computer camera and I saw myself. It's just nonsensical. I mean, it's not even that long. I showered yesterday. I mean, I'm only showing it to you in the interest of, transparency, because this is all, the aesthetic of LonsTV. Very laid back. I'm giving you insight into my daily life, and this is part of the deal, so you get to see it. Lucky you guys. I also wanted to talk here at the top. I'm going to review Exit Through the Gift Shop, the sort of art documentary, during this episode, but I want to talk a little bit more about Dexter. I made that video earlier in the week where I reviewed the newest season of Dexter and sort of complained about how slowly paced it was compared to other years and how the ending was very unsatisfying and everything kind of just wrapped itself up without any sort of real drama. And most people agreed with me, but I got a lot of comments that were negative towards me, that were disagreeing with me, and I thought some of them were really odd. A lot of them, more than one, was arguing with me that it's okay if Season 5 was a little off and I should be forgiving, because Season 4 was so great, and then they're planning great stuff for Season 6, so this is just going to be like a transition year. And it's like, that to me is remarkably forgiving. Maybe I should be that forgiving. It's a TV show. If you get Showtime, you get it. It's delivered into your home. It's really been good. I followed it for years. Maybe I should be willing to, give them a year to figure out where they want to go and sort things out. I'm just not built that way. If it's on TV, I expect it to be really good, and if it's not, I'm gonna complain. So I don't know who's right in this scenario. The people who are very, very forgiving and I'll wait a year, I'll give them a year, versus me who's not that my time is so precious, but I was really upset after I didn't like it this year. Maybe I have too much of a sense of entitlement. So let's move on. I want to talk about Exit Through the Gift Shop. It's a pretty brilliant documentary, and I'll tell you what I think I like the most about it. Usually when you get films about art, and they're actually trying to say something about art and the creative process and what it's like to be an artist, rather than just a movie that happens to be about artists, but a movie that's really about art, it's usually dry and pretentious. And art itself, when it's presented right, should be exciting and compelling purely on its own merits. So a movie about art should be like that too. And it's always disappointing to me that when you see films and documentaries that are about art and artists, that they're so they're boring and they're academic and they're stuffy. I always go back to Pollock, that Jackson Pollock movie that Ed Harris made. It's just a disaster. And I mean, it sucks all the life and the energy out of the work, which is the whole point, really. So this is a film that is incredibly entertaining, very funny, and I mean, it's a good introduction to street art, and it's thoughtful and provocative about what it means to be an artist. But it's never stuffy, it's never dry, it's always very compelling and interesting, and these are what's so likable about this art, street art, and these artists, is that lack of pretension of I went to art school, and it's in this style, and you wouldn't understand it, and everything. It is sort of done in public, it's designed for everyone to kind of get it and be in on it, and it's got a real communal sort of vibe, and it's very inviting. And the movie is that way, and it's a great introduction to street art. I mean, I had a little bit of a notion of what it was all about. I knew the names of, the biggest players in this world, but it was still interesting to learn about, sort of seeing some of its origins and how it came together. This is really two movies in one, and I'll try to proceed with it without giving too much away. The first half of the film is about this French guy named Terry who's obsessed with filming things, and he starts becoming obsessed with filming street artists doing their art. He has no intention of using the footage for anything. He's just filming street artists, and he works his way up to sort of the leaders in the street art community. Shepard Fairey, who's known for that the Andre the Giant Obey poster that was everywhere, and then the Barack Obama multicolored, the campaign poster. And then Banksy after that, the notorious underground, nobody knows what he looks like or what he sounds like, British street artist. So eventually he's filming these guys at the top of their game, and it seems like, well, he should start to think about turning this into a documentary. And then it takes this odd turn in the second half, and this guy Terry changes his name to Mr. Brainwash and becomes a street artist. And I don't want to get into what happens after that, but basically Banksy, the artist, ends up taking the footage away from him and making a movie of his own, out of it, because this guy, Terry, gets distracted, was never going to actually make a film, and tried to put stuff together, and it didn't turn out very well. So it's really interesting, and it kind of folds in on itself a bunch of times, and it becomes like an examination of itself, really. It is like, is Mr. Brainwash an artist, and what does it mean to be an artist? And it's fascinating the way that it shows culture and subculture and these, like, sort of new fads, and how they just are all cyclical. Like, that's what I thought was the most interesting about it, was that it begins and it's this sort of rejection of mainstream art. I mean, one of Banksy's early projects was putting his own paintings up in, like, the Tate Gallery and trying to trick people into seeing his paintings and thinking they were old classic paintings. And so it's this underground, it's this rejection of the sort of, convention and the established art world. And then these guys eventually become established, and they start getting collected, and they start getting well known. And then this new guy comes in and basically is derivative and copying their style, and Terry's not terribly skilled. He basically hires people to do his art for him and takes all of his ideas from Andy Warhol and Banksy and Shepard Fairey and kind of generates this art. But at the same time, then they become very snooty, and towards him. And he's appropriating all these pop images, but it's not right when he does it, it's right when they do it. But, that's only one perspective on it. You could also say, well, they're talented and spent years honing their skills, and Terry just kind of invented himself overnight. But it's bringing up all of these really interesting, ideas. And I also liked how Terry, he becomes the main character of the film, and he's very eccentric, odd character. I mean, the way he looks, the way he speaks, the way he acts. He's just an oddball, and most people during the movie, when they're being interviewed about him, are saying, like, he was this really weird guy, and I didn't know quite what to make of him. And I like that the film doesn't really feel the need to psychologically dissect him. We get one little sequence where it sort of hints at he has this troubled background, and here may be what caused him to act this way, but it's never overdone, and it really almost seems to, the mission of the movie in some ways is to take out the who at all. Like, maybe there really isn't anything more to this guy. Maybe it's just, he just gets things done, he just does things, and then he sort of finds himself in these positions because he's just active. And that the difference between people who are artists and aren't is that artists just make art and they do it, and that people who aren't artists just don't make art. That there really isn't anything to it beyond that. If you create something, even if it's stupid or there isn't a great idea behind it, it could be considered art. People will, if it's presented in the right context, bid on it, buy it, look at it in a gallery. And so, is it about the ideas? Is it about the skill that it takes to create it? Is it about the hype? What is it that actually makes up the art? That's really what the film is about, and it's fascinating that they could take ideas that are that sort of esoteric and make something that's so fun to watch out of it. But they did. So it's a great film. I definitely recommend it. It's on Netflix streaming now, so it's easily available for anyone to check out. I would think it may very well make a spot for itself on my top movies of the year list, which I'll be revealing on Sunday, actually. Sunday night on This Week in Movies, I'm going to do my top 15 best films of 2010. I'm also going to talk about my worst films of 2010. I'm going to give out some awards for best and worst other stuff of 2010. So check that out. That's going to be Sunday night. I'm babbling again, and it's over 9 minutes, and I swore I would stop doing over 9-minute LonsTV, so I'm going to cut it off here. Thanks everybody for watching. Thanks everybody for subscribing. Please subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you next time.